welcome to each one of you. This is the Naomi Talk Show with yours truly, Liz Kenya, and kama kawaida, I would like to appreciate each one of you that has become part of the big family that we are becoming. To anyone who is coming across our work for the first time, allow me to say, karibu nyumbani. Feel at home. And we want to assure you that through every story, that every engagement you see on this forum, there are three things you will get. You'll be equipped, you'll be inspired, and you will be educated to do life the way God intended. Because you know what? God has a manual of how we ought to do life. So in this place, we get to break it down for you to make it easier to manage through life. So today we want to talk about money matters. Money, 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 money. Money. Who wants money? Who doesn't want money? Who wants to know how to multiply their money? Where to multiply their money? That's what we're going to be talking about. So, tafuta notebook, sit at a quiet place, usipitwe na chochote, because the lady I'm about to introduce to you is knowledgeable on money matters. She can multiply your 10 to 1,000. Okay, help you. She'll not do the magic, but help you to multiply your 10 to 10,000. So you need to hear her and hear her quietly, slowly, because she has a lot of wealth of info that she can share with us on how to handle money. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Kindly introduce yourself.
First and foremost, I'm happy and delighted to be here at the Naomi Talk. My name is Janet Macharia. I am actually a born-again Christian. I love the Lord. And also my background is on project management and financial management. So like pesa ni mzuri.
Hey, pesa ni sabuni wa roho. As they say, yes.
Yeah.
So karibu sana.
Asante.
So let's begin from what is good financial awareness for someone who would want to begin from just the definition and before we get into the details of where we can get to invest.
Well, when you look at financial awareness, it really requires a thorough understanding and knowledge of your personal finances. And when we talk about personal finances, or even business finances, depending on whether you're in business or you're doing something far beyond your personal stuff. So we'll be thinking around budgeting, we'll be thinking around saving, and also debt management, that's important, and investment, just being able to multiply your money and to be able to understand, like, where is my money going and how do I multiply it and make it more and make it be able to do other stuff apart from just the day-to-day affairs and operations. So like we look at it from that perspective, having that understanding and knowledge about finances.
Good. So I've picked three things. Debt, savings, investments will basically be what we are looking at when we talk of good financial awareness. Let me ask, savings, hapo ndio tunapoteanga what is the most applicable rule that you can recommend for us? And more so, let me say, for the younger people to adopt when they want to talk about saving, bearing in mind probably they're in their first job, so there's that element of your earning is a little bit kidogo, but you're quite ambitious, you have the parties to attend to, and you know the things you have to do. What is the best model you can say or recommend for them to adopt?
You know, what usually happens if you don't have a plan, you actually plan to fail.
Yes.
And with that one, it means where savings is concerned, we look at it from not a historical point of view, but also a futuristic point of view, where you plan for it. So like the rule that is recommended is to make sure at least 20% of what you have, that is after you pay your taxes, that you're able to keep it aside and to save it for the future. And savings, will look at it, saving for any kind of an eventuality, something that you've not anticipated or planned for, or also saving for something that you want to do in the future. So like it is both ways. But at least when you look at your 20% of your disposable income or what you have after now paying your taxes, then you can be able to keep it aside. But it requires like budgeting, because that is where it comes in. Because with the 20%, of course, you will need to plan on how to spend now the other 50% and a 30% of your income. And that one will come by budgeting, by putting it down, making sure you have a record, and also you adhere to that record. It's not just for the sake
Here.
of it. Yeah, it's
Some
not
of us
just in
put
the
it
mind.
here.
That is a bit risky. I think the economic times that we are in, you might not be able to hack it. You'll somehow, because there are many things that come in this life. So if you don't lock some of these finances, then you tend to use it.
Yes.
And also, being an African, we are communal. We are in a community setup, whereby when your neighbor or someone goes through something, you feel indebted to be able to support them and help them. So if you've not locked it, you will be so guilty. So somehow you will still be able to use that money. And you know what happens if you don't save, because there is this like the power of compounding. Like you'll be able to save a 10 today, and tomorrow and the other day. The more you save, because there's the time aspect, then the more you're able to accumulate. And the more you're able like to delay your gratification. So with that one, then you're able to really at least be able of having some kind of certainty of the future when that money is locked. Yeah.
Hey, I'm also learning, by the way, this is not just for the young people, even for us who've been there, and we're also learning. So all of us are candidates for this. So before we proceed, you've talked of a budget, and sometimes the budget is in our heads, and you said it should move from the head to where we have at least written it down. So if I'm to draft a budget today, what are some of the key things I should factor in that budget?
Number one, you will need to really know your income. You cannot be able to start like putting in expenditure without having a knowledge of how much do I have.
Yes.
Because by knowing, like let's say if in a month I have 20,000, then now from 20,000, you will already start now by the 20% that we had spoken about saving. But however, if you are a Christian, then it is important to put in the 10% and make sure like you pay your tithe, because that is not your money.
Yes.
So it's important to put it down and to make sure you submit it to where you're supposed to submit it. Then the other thing will be, what is it that I would like to do in the future that can generate me more income? And that is where the investment comes in. At least whatever we have, having 20% of that, or okay, let's talk about 10% of that, then we can be able to really think around something, that a resource that I can acquire, or an asset for that matter, that can bring me more money in the future. Then the other now 10%, it will help, it will be that money where at least you can be able to do something that you would want. You know, like enjoy your money. Ni piga ambia mwili pole. Yeah, at least have some money that you can be able just kurudishia mwili shukrani. Then the other 50% is where now our bills come in. It's very important to live below our means.
Below, not
even within.
Below.
Below, such that if something goes a bit haywire, or when with now the inflation that we have, whereby a shilling last year, you're not able to buy the same thing for the same shilling, so you'll be able to cater for that. So having this 50% and making sure your shelter, because you know the 50% is supposed to really meet your basic needs, whereby we are talking about your shelter. You need a roof under you, then also you'll need food, you'll also need clothing, and also you will also be able to need security.
Yes.
And also within the 50%, it's also your taxes, because it's important to be able, to do the right thing,
Yeah,
as much
what
as
is
it
required.
is hard.
Give to Caesar.
Yeah, what belongs to Caesar. Exactly. So like the budgeting, that will be the different elements that will be very important for us to be able to consider. And discipline is key, because you can have it and not be able to have the obligation to do whatever you've put down.
Yeah.
So like it's very important to be able to be disciplined and to be able to stick to that. And when you do that, then you have control over your finances. You will not wonder, where did my money go? You're the one who directs your money where to go by budgeting, and also having that obligation and discipline to do that.
I'm loving this discussion. So that's how you are supposed to work around your budget. Keep practicing. Ukiteleza kidogo usijali. That is me talking, not the expert. Ukiteleza kidogo is fine, but you need to live below. Now we are not living within. We are living below our means, so that we can be able to cushion ourselves for any eventuality. Debts, madeni. Siku hizi ziko mingi, M-Shwari, Fuliza, Gani, all of them, they're everywhere. Debt. What would be your say about debt?
Wow. I know it is tricky, the fact that when you look at what, for example, what the Bible says, it really like discourages from debts. And it is from a good place, because once you have debt, then ule mtu amekupatia hiyo deni, like they take away your freedom. It's like someone else having your freedom, so like curtailing your life. So as much as we can, let's avoid debt. But however, debt is important, but we need to plan for it.
Important.
Yes, debt is important. Reason being where we are at, like in our economy,
Yes.
as a nation and also as a continent. It becomes really very difficult to be able to save money to do something.
Yeah.
You know, like
exactly.
you will, most of the times you realize you will need maybe to have a debt which you can be able to acquire an asset by your name. But now the most important thing, what is your repayment plan?
Yes.
So don't go for a debt if you don't know how you're going to pay for the debt. It doesn't matter if it is M-Shwari, it doesn't matter if it is a bank loan, it doesn't matter if it is a SACCO loan, whatever kind of debt that you need to have, make sure you already have a plan, a repayment plan already put in place. And then maybe the other emphasis I will put, it is important to avoid the short-term debts, and also these very expensive debts that are not regulated.
The Shylocks.
The Shylocks and the likes. It becomes easy. Every time is easy for you to access debt or to access money. There is always a catch. And that is why you realize most of the times in the institutions, okay, they will give you the money when they know you don't need the money. Because you've been able to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that you're able to repay it. So it is for your good. But for these other like Shylocks, they will be easy to give you the money, but make sure they ask you like for a title deed, maybe your household assets, they're already part of the collateral for that debt, as much as it is easy, and they are very expensive debts. So like when you want to go for a debt, number one, consider the timeline.
Yeah.
The longer the time for you to repay the debt, the more expensive it is. The other thing is, if I want 100 shillings from you, and you want me to repay it back with 150, it is really, it's a raw deal.
That's a bad
It's
debt.
not a good deal. Yeah. So like every time you want to go for a debt, look at the cost for that debt, because it's important. How much, like you'll give me this money, but by the time I'm repaying you back, then I will repay you back plus, plus, plus. So like it will be a loss to me. So the other thing I would really encourage, especially the people who are in business, when you get the debt, at least do your calculation. Be able to see the kind of business that you have, the profit that you're going to gain will be more than the cost of this debt. Then go for the debt. If it will be less than, then it might not be justified for you to incur that debt. So like debt, we will not write it off, but in case you're in debt and you're really struggling on how to do it, please make sure you repay your debt. Dawa ya deni ni kulipa. And if it is in an institution, please just go ahead, go and renegotiate with them. If you're in a place, maybe you're in employment and suddenly the employment has gone, you don't have that income to repay back. Just go sit down with them, explain the situation, and then renegotiate it and come up with new terms that you can be able to still to repay the debt. Don't walk away, because because it is important to have a good credit score. Such that when you need that debt, you'll not be flagged. You'll be able to access that debt. And the only way to attain that is just to make sure whatever you commit to, just pay it. I mean, life happens.
Yeah.
When life happens, just go ahead, explain yourself, and renegotiate on how to repay it back. The other thing I would really discourage us is to live on debt.
Yeah.
Like if the clothes, especially like the basic needs, it's not prudent, it's not wise to live on your basic on your basic needs on debt. So like whichever place you are, if for example you cannot afford that kind of living standard, it is well downgrade to your income level and then have the debt to be able to generate an income. But if it is not bringing you money, it's not really, it's not wise. It's not wise to engage in that, because just the way we've said it, when you're indebted to a person, they really interfere, like when you're in debt, even when you see the debtor calling you, suddenly your appetite goes, suddenly hata magonjwa itakuja. It's not a good place to be. So if you're able to avoid it, very good. But if you want to do something that you're able to improve your life upon, and that is considering an asset, something that is of economic value, something that is going to improve your lifestyle, go ahead and do it. But also engage an expert when you're doing this, a friend or even an institution, let them advise you on it. Yeah.
Oh, I love the fact that you said, number one, the debt should not be to cater for your basic needs, food, clothing, and shelter.
Yeah.
So it takes us back to the place you said, live below your means. And it's okay to wear your Mtumba outfit, iron it nicely, and trust God to buy from the brands, the big brands later, ili avoid your magonjwa unasema. And also you need to, the good debt should be to have an asset. Hapo kwa asset. Gari ni asset. My private motor car is an asset.
Yeah.
So is it worth, or what should I consider? Because assets and investments, as you're saying, there are many factors to consider. So that's why I'm propping with that question of, I really want a car, especially in this cold weather. kuchapwa na mvua, kupanga malaini za lofa and all those matatus, the easy thing is for me to get this debt to buy myself a motor car. Then on the 15th, I can't even fuel it. So I'll only use it on up to the 14th. Gauge ikienda orange, it is gone for parking. So what should I consider before I go for some of these assets that we would want to go for?
Well, there are different types of assets. There are those assets that will depreciate.
Yes.
And one of those assets is a car. You buy a car today, let's say 500,000, 1 million, but in a year's time, it will already have depreciated in value. So most probably it will not be the same value. So ideally, it is an asset, but if it is your first asset, it might not be necessary. It will be important for you to consider an asset that is appreciative in value.
Kama kamugoda hivi.
Kama kamugoda, but however, like now with the Mogoda, because it really ties your finances and you're not able like to dispose it as fast.
Yes.
So it will be important to diversify.
Very good.
Like
Very good.
have different kind of assets. Don't have the same kind of assets. And the way like to be able to classify or distinguish is number one, considering in case I need money, how fast am I able to get this money?
Yes.
By disposing this asset. So it's good to have long-term kind of asset and also short-term kind of assets. And that is why, and that is where we'll be able to look at, okay, yes, having a piece of land is good, but also making sure that that piece of land is able to generate income for you.
Yeah.
It's good to have the piece of land, but when it's idle, it's just appreciating on its own without adding any value, it is not doing you a lot of justice. So it is good to consider, what is it that this piece of land I can be able to do to bring me more money? And that is where now we talk about investment, because there is that, the issue of the future, that such that in the future, this asset I'm able to acquire, it is going to give me more money. And there are many things you can be able to do with a piece of land. Just think around it. From renting it out, it's not idle. Someone is going to give you money for it. And you're assured it will not be as much, but it will still be okay. From even like, I mean, if it's a land that is not far off, why not put in something that you can be able to grow and even consume it if you have a family, or even sell it out. So like far beyond it appreciating, there is something that you're getting which is now important to you. Because the other thing to consider when you're diversifying is to make sure the income that you have, it is increasing in value. And one of the ways to be able to increase in value, you can do it either horizontally or vertically. And that is where now, horizontally is where now you consider many, like for example, you consider many streams of income.
Yeah.
So if you're able to have at least 3 streams of income, whereby you can generate that money and you can be able to buy that asset. And you realize with that one, you'll be able, if you buy your first asset using debt, it is possible to buy your second asset not using debt, as long as the first asset is able to generate income for you. So like now, that is key. That will be something to consider. So your first asset, especially if you've never owned an asset, it will be good not to go for anything that is depreciating and anything that is going to demand more money. Like a car, you will need to fuel, you will need insurance, you will need, like for example, it will not be right to have a car. It is in the parking, you can't move because there are some mechanical things you're not able to afford it. So like, that one, shelve it a bit, get something that you can be able to increase value. But however, if you can have the car, and you can be able to generate income from it, like Uber or taxi. That's good because it's going to take care of your operational cost that this car is going now to bring in. So it is good to think around not status, because
I
you
think
know
hiyo ndio
what?
inasumbuanga, yeah.
Yeah,
My
'cause-
friends are driving and so I have to
yes, I have to drive, you know, I have to fit in. Guess what? The people who've done many things in this life and who are very successful are the people who don't mind what other people think about them.
Amen.
Because at the end of the day, kwa nini unipatie heshima and nikienda nyumbani there's nothing for me to eat or I'm in debt. Fine, I'm smartly dressed, but najua tu mama nani I owe her or him for this dress. So like it doesn't matter where you place me in the society. The thing is my life. Am I happy with my life?
Yes.
And am I able to sleep well wherever I am? So like that is key.
Sijui ni kama nasikia ukisema with money matters, mind your own business. Not
Exactly.
what people will say about you. But then hata wakiongea they can't talk 24/7. Itakuwa ni woo and then we are done and then you're left with your struggles and you try to put up a show for us and even weddings. Okay, sorry. These days people put up weddings for us. At whose expense? So someone borrows to go finance their wedding because the committee could not meet the budget, and then when you come back, we even forgot that you had a magnificent wedding, but you're having to offset some bills immediately after your honeymoon. So as you're saying, let's be mindful of how we spend, why we're even spending, because sometimes we spend for others to clap for us. And that's why we are saying mind your own business when it comes to buying those assets. Now, investment options. I'm sure you being in this field, you have affordable, let's call them affordable options that one can look out for and probably plug in their money. Which ones are they?
Well, when you look at investment, is whereby you either acquire an asset or you do something that is going to help you get something in a future time. So like time is a factor. So it's very important to really understand whatever I want to invest in, what is the return on investment? How long is it going to take before I recoup back the money that I have put into this? And one of the ways that I would look at investment is where we can be able to look at a place where you can put in your money and you can be able to access the money as fast. So the liquidity part of it. So you would look at things to do with stocks, things to do with money markets, things to do with insurance. But however, what I would like us to understand, first seek understanding in what you want to invest in.
Yeah.
If it's not making sense to you, don't go into it. Something that makes sense to you, and make sure you have now the financial awareness, the investment awareness. Seek knowledge, seek guidance, because that is very important. And the other important thing for me to mention, especially now to the young people who really want to invest, make sure like you seek mentorship, like be able to see someone you admire and someone you think they have made it in life, for them to take you through. That will be very important. Like seek guidance to be able to do that. As still we are in the investment, or of course like having the long-term kind of investment like land, which of course now ties our money, that will be very important. The other thing, it's not really an investment per se, but considering like, for example, to save in a SACCO setup, because in a SACCO, it is to some extent the cheapest kind of the cost vis-a-vis the interest you get. It is it goes in together, and you can still be able like to borrow from the same circle. So that will be important. The other thing that we will need to consider is when you look at now the digital space, there are many things we can do and we can be able to generate income from. So, and that is why you will see, especially the young people, like TikTok will make money for them. And also look at what is it that I like doing or I can be able to do for free, invest money in that and start working around it. When you look at our time, we have 24 hours. 8 hours maybe you're in your formal employment. Make sure you give it to an employer or to your business. There is the 8 hours to rest. The other 8 hours, engage in something where you can be able to generate money from. Maybe I will give a very simple example, this to the young people. I remember when I was mostly in college, in campus, what I will do is to be able to get some beauty stuff, cosmetics, buy them at a cost, and then within my same the space that I am in, be able to sell and make money out of that. So like I was able to generate income from that. And it was an investment because I put in some money and I already could be able to tell, I bought this thing at 100 shilling, I will sell it at 150, there are no cost. Cost ni kutembea from whichever place I am, kwenda River Road uko chini, and then, you know, like I'll be able to already plan for it and get money out of it. The other thing I would like to mention, which we don't easily talk about it, your social capital is very important when you're investing, because the people around you, the network that you have, they're the people who are going to make reference on your behalf. So like it's also important to invest within your social network, and from your social network they can be able to help you, like the kind of business or the kind of investment you want to put to be able to generate income from it. The other thing I would like to really mention, when we look at investment, it is important to consider what you're doing and the space you're in. Don't invest in something that you do not know. For example, if you've never, how do I put it? Like, for example, matatu industry is good. There's a lot of cash flow. But can you just be able to take time and understand the complexity of the space that you're in? So like you can be able to look at several areas. Look, for example, at the need of the people. When you look at the basic needs, out of all those needs, you can be able to make an investment from whichever aspect. Depending on where you are, if you have enough capital, you can be able to invest in housing, for example, put in capital. But however, when you're doing that, that is really long term. It will take you more than 10 years to be able to recoup back the money that you have put into it. So like those are the different things you can be able to do to invest depending on the much money that you have. So there is no small money, there is no big money. What you just need to know, out of, if I have 100 shillings, can this 100 shilling bring in 50 shillings? And if it can be able to bring in 50 shilling, what is the timeline that I'm working with? If I have 1 million, can the million bring in like 100,000 in each and every month? So also you can be able to consider things to do like treasury bills, things to do the bonds, different areas that you can be able now to diversify your income. But the key thing, whatever you do, you have to be ready to invest also time into it.
Yeah, to learn.
To learn and also to follow it through, because that is important. Yeah.
So it's not magic, it's not rocket science. You must be willing to learn. So as you're willing to learn, what she's also saying is invest in yourself. Kwa sababu ingine itabidi ulipe, go into a class and learn some of these things before you push your money somewhere. And of late, people are losing money left, right, and center. Huge amounts of money. And allow me to say softly, it's out of ignorance and the assurance that it's quick money, so you'll get it quickly, multiplied, tripled, sometimes to some figures that are quite unrealistic. So I highly support what you're saying. Let's be willing to learn about the space you'd want to invest in. Get as much info as you can, then go into it with great confidence. And there's something else also you said, learn from others, listen to others. You don't want to come and surprise us with something that eventually ends up frustrating you and surprising you, thinking that you're coming to surprise us. Yani, hata mimi nilikuwa nasoma, unaona, the teacher should be telling me whether I have done well on this one. And you can also translate your passion to profit making. So look at what you enjoy doing, look at how you can easily make something out of it, even outside your working time. And some people have transitioned even from the corporate space and pursued their passion because their passion now became big, became something they can run with, and they have really grown in that space. I hope hata wewe umesoma kitu, and this has been a very interactive session. So as we wind up, what would be your take home on matters to do with money, finances?
Number one, just make sure you have the financial awareness. Invest in knowledge and also with understanding.
Yes.
Of what is it that I can be able to do to multiply my money and to create my wealth. And also keep away from debt as much as you can. But if you really need it, then make sure you have a repayment plan before getting that debt. So that will be the three things. And of course, invest. Invest, make sure like you have that plan of generating income and multiplying your income. That will be key.
Wow, thank you. Invest, 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 and invest in yourself to be able to invest, because you need to know where you're investing and even track that investment. So you need someone to work with you, so you don't have to walk alone in this journey. Yes, so as we finish, I would love to end with this quote. And I want to ask you a question. Do you want to get rich? Yes, even me, I want to get rich. But this is it. It's not your salary that makes you rich. It is your spending habits that inform how rich you will be in the near future. So how is your spending habits? God bless you. See you next time.